I've been worse than 6 this morning.
NSP.
So you're getting the fumes right now. I apologize.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Can we get a roll call, please, Courtney?
Bailey?
Here.
Brower?
Here?
Jay Pratt and Jake Harat are both absent with notice.
Right.
McLaren is here and Wills.
Here.
Okay. We have some additional attendees. Because we have some other folks. Just mention your names.
Sarah Hanlon.
Sarah Hamlin. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Carol Legbo. Carol Legbo. Bill, of course.
Bill Sprague, village manager.
Judy Kwasnick.
Judy, nice to have you. Thank you.
Sierra Leininger. And Danielle Longdecker.
Awesome. Good to see everyone. Thank you very much.
And maybe for those who don't know all of
Yes.
us, we can also.
Rick Derry and Promotions Committee.
Allison Brower, President and Organization Committee.
Matt Bailey, Organization Committee.
Wayne Wells, President, Village Council.
Matt Jenkins, I'm the director of the DDA.
Courtney McLaren, I'm Design Committee.
Brenda Timmermans, I'm volunteer.
All right. Thank you. All right, recitation of our mission, the bottom of our agenda. Our mission is that we are dedicated to promoting economic revitalization, supporting local businesses, and preserving the natural and historic heritage of the village of Ortonville by using the 4-point Main Street approach. Well, we kind of did guest introduction. I sort of skipped ahead, didn't I? We did that too. I really skipped ahead, didn't I? I told you I'm running on fumes. I apologize.
Consent
So the
agenda.
consent agenda is where we are.
It's the first stapled packet in your meeting packet, which includes the agenda, the minutes, treasurer's report. There's also the income statement attached behind the treasurer's report.
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Do we have any additional discussion? All right, no further discussion then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. All those opposed? So then let's move to disbursements.
Just behind that portion of the packet is the disbursements report for May in the amount of $1,938.18.
I move we pay our bills in the amount of $1,938.18.
Support.
Any further discussion? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
McLaren, yes. Wills?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Brower?
Yes.
And Jeremy and Jason are absent with notice.
Okay, next on our agenda is the DDA 2018-2019 budget recommendation.
Included in your packet, there are several sheets stapled together. Each sheet represents a different stated priority. You'll see at the top of each subsequent page the priority listed for each of the budgets. The top sheet is where we are year to date as it compares to previous year actuals, and the column on the far right is our budgeted amount for this current year, fiscal year.
And again, year to date is to today, this date.
Yes, it is. It's not, these year-to-date figures are not from the treasurer. They are the May actuals plus the funds that I've spent
Okay.
so far this month. So, just for your information.
And our fiscal year is not a calendar year. We run July 1st to June 30th.
So today is the 19th, so we're roughly 10 days shy of completing our fiscal year.
Yes, we will. Yes, and so these numbers, as they are currently, are pretty close. Pretty close.
So did you receive any feedback from any of our board members? Or what feedback did you receive? Let me ask you that.
Nothing committing to any of these versions. So if I can, I'll just give you the methodology for how I came up with these examples. The first one, you'll see the second page of the packet, is labeled minimum operations. And the thing to pay attention here is the expectation in this budget is that we resist using any fund balance, and we pretty much try and function under that $83,800 in revenue, and you can see how that is spelled out in that section. It reduces committee spending to a bare minimum, $750 per committee is in there. It does leave the streetscape maintenance, the $5,000 that we reimburse the village for DPW time. It does maintain the annual flowers that we pay for in downtown Ortonville. And it does maintain a commitment to the Merchant Association program.
And Crossman Park utilities that we pay for.
Yeah. The Merchant program is the downtown dollars subsidy as well as the merchant grants.
Okay.
Next, takes into consideration using $8,000 of fund balance, and it spreads that out over the committees to use for projects and initiatives.
And where are you at now?
The third page.
Committee priorities?
Yeah, so highlighted would be committing 8,000 in fund balances, that's highlighted, top left.
Necessity. You're talking about the yellow highlighted 8,000?
Yep.
Okay.
And that 8,000 you can see on the next page where it is divided up among the 4 primary committees of the DDA, and it's identified what current projects or projects we have talked about that those additional funds could go towards.
Would you be so kind as to number these pages?
For future, sure.
Oh, that makes, yeah, because you didn't say turn to page.
I don't know whether you're talking about the front or the back of the next page. So,
We can do that now. That would make it easier.
yeah, let's do
Why don't we
that.
all turn to the front page and just do that real quick. So 1, back is 2, and so on. It'll make it easier for everyone to stay on the same page.
There you go.
And you're all good.
What if you have some, oh, there it is.
Page 12 then? So,
Very good.
Well, I don't
Just
know
making
Stevie
sure.
Gonzalez.
hey,
Goodness.
I got 12.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we can start over now.
Thank you
All
for
right.
indulging me and anybody else.
No, that's a great suggestion. Okay, so we were on page 6. Okay.
Any questions related to that?
No?
The next one, which is, starts with page 7, increases the use of the fund balance to 13,000 for the year. I estimate that that will be 50% of our fund balance at the completion of this fiscal year. And the subsequent pages, just so you know, these are all suggesting that we take that lump of resources and commit it to something specific. On page 7, it's the farmer's market. Page 9 would be a budget that focuses on a placemaking project. And page 11 would be a budget that would focus on a project that would come out of the new master plan that the village is currently working on.
And that's on a to-be-determined basis.
Yep. Yeah, and essentially what I did was I put the majority of those resources into one of the committees, the committee most appropriate for that initiative. So for example, the farmer's market would be in promotions, the placemaking would be in design, and the master plan initiative would be in the organization committee.
So can we have some discussion as far as what people are thinking?
It's really prioritizing our current resources for what this group feels is appropriate for next year, whether it's bang for the buck or it's hold the line and keep trying for the small wins that we've had this past year.
I think in addition to the small wins, I think the small win, medium win, big one might be the synergy that we might get if taking a project from the master plan would be something that would be seen as incorporated into something that was agreed upon by more people than just us. So we're helping something out, and I think we might get more bang for the buck in doing that, even if I like one of the other ones better maybe. That's my initial reaction. So I like the master plan project.
I agree, and I think too that keeping in mind, we're talking about bang for your buck, but we obviously, anything that we choose out of a master plan type project would be, we gotta keep in mind it would be in collaboration with,
Right.
and that way we don't have to focus on funding a whole thing.
Correct.
So we, keep that in mind as well too. We wanna
I love,
take part in it, but not try to fund the whole thing.
we can lead, but
Right.
our resources are limited, so if it's a
Exactly.
master plan project, we're probably going to be financial partners, even if we can lead in other ways. And to be honest with you, the master plan was one of the, I was very much interested in including that as one of our priorities. It's in our objectives right now for the organization committee to work with the master plan to determine where there can be
Collaborate.
synergy.
Right.
I almost took it out. And the only reason why I almost took it out is even if we get a master plan by the end of the year, we may not be funding projects in this
Correct.
Yeah.
budget year. Not because it didn't deserve it, just because it may be too soon. That was the
Sure.
only thing I was thinking.
And I agree. One of the other thoughts I had as I was reviewing this was that we also have to remember we have Friends of Amos, which is a fundraising arm of ours. And I think that we should look to utilize or leverage that more, particularly in with the master plan, because we're going to have, hopefully, that community buy-in to whatever those projects are. And I'd like to be able to see us have folks be able to participate in that in really meaningful ways. And I don't know what those ways would be. I mean, I have a few thoughts, but certainly not something for me to determine, you know, like papers with family names or memorial benches or trees or whatever. I mean, there are opportunities there for us to be able to incorporate that kind of legacy for families that are here forever and want to continue to be here forever. I think we could certainly contribute some of our budget dollars, but I'd also like to see us have Amos, Friends of Amos, help with some of that. And I'd like to see a blend, honestly. So I don't want just one. I want more than one. I'd like to see placemaking and master planning.
I agree. I think those are certainly where we need to focus. You know, if we want people coming downtown and doing things, we've got to focus on how to get them here.
And that's what's going to pull people and families down. It's going to pull younger, new families, which will help grow our schools, which will help grow the tax base, which will help create new businesses, which will create a thriving downtown, right? And that's what we're here for.
Yep. Is that what you're asking, Matt? Is that what you're asking? The four of you need to center on one, or a combination. You can create your own here, no problem.
Well, can't we just do it all?
Yeah.
I just want to do it all, honestly.
But I think you're right. I think focusing on a master plan project and not just because I'm on design, because I do kind of feel like I'm a little bit everywhere right now being so new, but placemaking, I think those should be the two big ticket, not all the money, but the two big ticket items that we need to focus on.
And that's where because my first thought was, I mean, I love if I look at my notes, was the master plan, right? That's certainly an opportunity to really demonstrate our commitment
to a cohesive
cooperation. Here's my note. Beneficial for increasing collaboration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge priority for us as an organization right now. That's what we stepped back and did all of that homework and soul searching on and came back with, is that we're here to support our community. And doing so through that collaboration. So that right out of the gate I love, but I don't want that to be it.
The only,
Because I think we will lose this momentum that we're building, and I think it's not just a one and done kind of thing. I think our solution is more of a three-legged stool. We need to have more than one approach.
What is the board's tolerance for using the fund balance? Where do you see yourself on that?
I'm comfortable with 50%. I'm not a big risk taker, so I'm going to tell you I'm not comfortable with more than that, for my 2 cents. Because we don't know. The market's starting to come back, so TIF funding will increase. That's why I was thinking Friends of Amos. Let's try and leverage that.
right. According to the township supervisor who just attended, now I forget the name of the conference that she attended. It's basically the economic health of the county kind of thing. Said for the next couple of years it's going to grow, and then in 2021 it's going to kind of
Contract again.
yeah.
Okay.
So we need to
At
be
least
mindful by the economic gurus. We need to kind of be mindful of that too.
Is that based on housing, or is there a specific?
It's just economic growth. So I'm a little more conservative about spending how much to spend out of the fund balance, because I'd hate to see us get into a situation where we don't have a fund
Yeah, I'm
balance
cautious
anymore,
about
so.
I'm really cautious about using half.
Yeah, that is certainly as high as I would be willing
Yes.
to approve. And I'm just,
Without a plan to recoup.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
I'm
what we're talking
hesitant.
about with Friends of Amos. But if we don't use it on the front end and we plan to fundraise,
And there's no harm in budgeting for it, right? I mean, we budget for it, we
Right,
don't
have
spend
to
it,
use it.
it's
Right.
no big deal.
So did we get any proposals back, and I apologize, having been out of the country, but did we get any proposals back yet from our placemaking architecture company? Or not yet? Yes, okay. What were the dollar amounts on those?
Scope of work was, there were 3 initiatives that they were talking about: Gateway, placemaking, and,
Street.
well, streetscape, thank you, and
What's the
Signage?
price
they
tag?
called it park, but it was a, it was spending resources in one spot, whether that be Heritage Gardens or Crossman Park or Narren, an entrance to Narren, and they were 6, 8, and 14 grand.
That's pretty big.
the one being the one
Pretty
big
big,
thing
yeah.
being the most money, or
The gateway is the 14?
what was
I think the streetscape was actually the largest.
okay.
Yeah, because then you're dealing, that makes sense, because you're dealing with
If
streets.
anybody has
and-
their binder, it was in one of our previous meetings.
Anybody has their binder.
Okay, so
There you go.
if I can, pull out from your comments on what you're comfortable spending from the fund balance, I'll go back to page 5, which is the budget that focuses on committee priorities. And you see that there's an additional $2 grand for each of the 4 primary committees. When you jump to 13, using 13,000 of the fund balance, all these budgets do is dump that extra 5,000 into whatever that priority is.
I'm sorry,
Farmers
what do you
market.
mean back, when you jump to 13?
The 13,000 in fund balance. They were just commenting
That's on
on
page 7.
what they're comfortable with spending from the fund balance. So I want to make sure that you're aware, when you jump from 8,000 to 13,000, that additional 5,000 is going directly to
Project.
one project, right? So if you're leaning away from spending 50% of the fund balance, you can do something different than what the budget starting on page 5 suggests.
What does that fund balance earn us each year?
Well,
On average.
actually, the treasurer's report, you'll start to see an increase in interest because we just moved about 7,000 of it into higher yielding CDs.
Okay.
One through MSU, FCU, and one through Genesis. So those will begin to generate a little more, but the treasurer's estimate for next year is $300.
What's the term of the CD?
31 months was one of them, and I think the other 17 was the other.
17 months.
So the question we're going at is if we want to spend $5,000 on a project, and use up to half of our reserves. And if so, what project we want to spend it on?
I guess I would say that knowing that, or keeping in mind that just because we budget it doesn't mean doesn't 100% mean it's going to be spent if there's nothing
Right.
there to spend it on. You know, say we get the master plan back and there's a project that we want to work on, but it can't come to fruition this fiscal year. Then that would be an instance where it's not going to come out of the budget. Or, you know, something like that happens where we have to wait a little longer for that project. I mean, I guess that makes me a little more comfortable with the 50% number. But like I said, I would hate to spend half of our fund balance and then wind up not in a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think about our revitalization grants that we're doing. I don't want to end up where we are painted into a corner and we can't fund these improvements for downtown.
Exactly.
But we could do less than 50%, couldn't we?
Well, even if we budget it though, it's just budgeting for it. It's not an expectation that you have to spend that.
Yeah, we're not authorizing.
13,000.
Right. It's just there, and then we have the availability of the funds, but we could have the discussion at that point to decide if that's
Right. Say we have the project and we want to fund $5,000 of that project, then we are not spending the full. But it gives us a little bit of flexibility in there.
I like that.
okay.
Making sure we do our due diligence on.
But it still gives us some flexibility to
What do you think, Wayne?
have the funds to work on something.
On the revenue side, do we see any drastic changes in the TIF definitions and the TIF arrangements in the state at this point?
No. There's always rumblings, but nothing solid at the moment.
So any budget is a living document and that can be modified and can be, it's a guideline only,
Right.
and it can be modified and used in a prudent manner. So any of the suggestions I think are good ones. And I think that we can move accordingly. I like the idea of the master plan. We need to have more synergy between the council and the planning commission as well. So I think that would show that we're working in that direction. Yeah, so leaving anything having to do with the master plan out, I think, would have been. So I kudos to you for leaving it in.
I agree.
And yours was just a practical, sorry.
No, go
Yours
ahead.
was just a practical issue of will we spend the money in that fiscal year was the question, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't whether or not should be a priority.
No.
And we may or may not.
Absolutely a priority, we all agree on that.
Right.
It's just the timing of it.
Yes.
And one thing we could look at, if we did want to do too, if we did decide that we want to do 6,000 placemaking and 6,000 towards a master plan, we could move some funds around too, right? We can have a little bit of wiggle room with that.
There's we have funds in the design line items. We have funds in the promotion line items and
I think your master master plan idea gives you some significant flexibility too, because typically in the master plan, like you had said, Allison, you'd like maybe a little more money in gateways or something. Most of the discussion on the master, a lot of the discussion on the master plan, you'll probably see on the 28th will revolve around
Downtown.
placemaking,
Okay,
gateway type stuff, so.
so it'll
it-
double down for us essentially.
Yeah, so I think it gives you the flexibility you need to maybe pick a project that,
Sure,
you know, the money's still there.
right, which is exciting, right? That's what we want to do.
And just to follow up on Wayne's comments, if in fact we did move towards this final budget on page 11 and 12, just to reiterate, that budget utilizes $13,000 from the fund balance. That provides an additional $2,000 per committee and $5,000 towards a master plan project.
Right,
If the master plan project doesn't materialize by June 30th of 2019, we don't spend that money.
Exactly.
And even if it does, maybe we don't spend that money anyways.
Or we don't spend it all, we're
Maybe
in the
we've got it.
process or beginning
Yeah.
to spend it, yeah. So that would be there, it's kind of like a place saver, if you will. And committed only if this board at a later date says, yep, that's the
Decides to
project
commit
we
it.
want, and we're committing $5,000 to it.
Like that.
I do too.
But,
And our facade grants are all gonna be, stay as they have been? Or are we gonna be expanding them?
Which grants?
The
Facade
facade
grants.
grants.
We did
The-
bump them up, didn't we, to 4? No?
Well,
We talked about it.
last year we did have $10,000 in there.
is that what's there this year?
The
Forgive me.
design committee has not looked at the guidelines yet to revise them. Guidelines currently say up to $1,500, the board can take each on a case-by-case basis and make exceptions. So that's what we have been doing thus far. As you'll see the little note next to revitalization grant, I just, penciled in 3 $1,500 projects, gives you $4,500 to spend.
Okay.
Which,
I think that's a great program.
that's close to what we
That's
have
on
been
the
spending
30s, yeah.
traditionally, until we upped it last year.
And I think linking it to the planning commission too, so that we ensure that we're meeting, or they're meeting those
Yeah,
criteria as well.
I'm working on getting a sit down with a planning commission member and hopefully, and we have it,
Stay on the budget if
Sorry.
we could, please, so we get through it.
you got it.
Sorry.
No, not at all.
Okay,
Okay.
Need a motion to,
Is that where we're at?
me and Wayne are maxed out.
If you guys are agreeable to something.
So you're doing page 11 and 12, right?
that's what we're looking at, I think,
Yeah.
yes? So someone want to make a motion, or I can motion? Right. I'll motion. I motion to accept the committee $13,000 in the fund balance for a major effort adopting a project from the master plan. I'd like to say and/or placemaking.
Can you say that again? I have to accept committing $13,000 to,
Adopting a project from the master plan.
So would you say that the motion would be that
We would
you
allocate,
approve the
20,
budget presented,
Total budget.
which that provides
Yes, okay.
13,000
what he said.
towards a major effort, a master plan project. include the,
And the total amount of the budget
yeah.
in the
The
motion.
total amount of $96,800.
Correct. I'll support that.
Any other discussion? Okay, can we do a roll call?
I'm sorry, Wayne, you supported.
I did.
Thank you.
Would you read the motion, please?
No. I have my tape recorder here, but it reads along the lines of to approve the 2018-2019 DDA budget that provides committing $13,000 to adopting a project from the master plan for a total budget of $96,800. I know the middle little section there, I gotta
Okay. Good.
get off the recorder, but
Okay, that's fine.
Good. Okay, next on our.
I need to call the roll.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
Bailey,
Yes.
Brower,
Yes.
Jason Kratt is absent with notice, Jeremy Kratt is absent with notice, McLaren, yes, and Wells.
Yes.
Okay. Committee project reports.
In your packet, you have a list of the committee objectives for the year. There's also a project brief attached to it. You know, we've talked quite a bit about aligning our objectives, aligning our projects with our objectives, thinking strategic, and using the work we've done in the past year and a half to help guide decision making. The project brief is a template, a tool, a resource that I just pulled together. I have been talking with Courtney and Tony about it because we've been spending a lot of time talking about eats in the streets. And I just, even though we're right in the middle of eats in the streets, I decided this was a good opportunity to take this tool and dump in the guts, if you will, of the project, of the initiative, to see if it really serves the purpose. My objective is twofold. One, to be able to take a project and say this is where there's synergy with our plan.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it's a way for us to better explain a project or initiative to whoever, whether it's the board, whether it's the committee working on it, whether it's local businesses or volunteers who we want to engage. And so this is our first go. When I sent out the meeting packet, you had a Word document version of it. I would love to see the committees put this to use moving forward as we proceed. Ideally, it would be great if this came to, a project brief came to the DDA board for approval, and then the committee runs with it.
I like it, I think it's great.
I do too. A nice job.
This was all Matt. I had nothing to do with the project brief.
Nice job, Matt. Nice job with the event.
Well, thank you.
You provided the content.
Yeah, a whole lot of it.
I don't know, is there anything to report on Eats in the Streets or any of the other committees?
This is where we do that?
Yep.
Okay. I think everybody should be pretty well brought up to speed on Eats in the Streets, and if not, feel free to ask me a question. It's happening in 2 days, so if you're not up to speed on anything, let me know. Anybody? Any questions? 7 trucks, 4 counting Brenda's music vendor. They all should have their health permits. The fire chief will be doing inspections. The county has been notified. We will have porta potties and tables and something else, garbage cans.
We do need some volunteers. This is just a brief outline of what some of those volunteer opportunities are. And you'll see on the back, it's just a general map of downtown with several of the items highlighted: the food truck, the picnic tables, benches, garbage cans, and musicians.
I bet we can find a volunteer for it.
I need a couple. Right now I have 2. If I count Rick.
They're very colorful, right?
Well, I already told them, shooting, but I'll be downtown.
Covered that.
So I am open to anybody and everybody, even if you can only help. Brenda can't help, but even if you can only help for a little bit, Brenda's going to be busy that night.
I can help with some setup. Our family's coming down, but I can help set up.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you,
not a
Sarah.
problem.
Is there anything like
I'll
after
message
work?
you later tonight.
That's perfect.
What's that?
Is there any cleanup or anything after?
Yes, as Matt indicated on here, thank you for putting that together, Matt. Around 6 o'clock, I want to start walking through town, making sure there's no garbage out. I think did we make sure to ask that the garbage cans downtown be emptied that morning? Or between now and then at some point to make sure our garbage, the ones I'm talking about,
Mhm.
that they're
Yeah.
empty? So that we don't have that issue and,
They're gonna
just
be
start
busy.
making sure that,
I may do that.
You got that?
I don't want downtown to
Yeah.
get dirty after an event that we host. That would be
Unproductive.
disastrous in my opinion for us. So I want to make sure that I will be here. I already have kids taken care of. I will be here all night till the trucks are gone. But I'd hate to have to walk around by myself and
Yeah, I know I can come down after board meeting, but,
cool.
that,
I'll let DPW make a run through Thursday morning, just make sure.
I just want to make sure that the cans are not
overflow.
already full when everybody starts showing up.
Courtney, how late do we anticipate the trucks being on site?
I have the event listed as 4 to 8. However, if there's still people, wandering around town, I've told them I'm not gonna.
Boot them out.
I don't want any. I would really
Send them to the pub.
prefer them not to be serving past at 9 at the very absolute latest. I'd like to have them be packing up and on their way out by 9
So it
o'clock.
wasn't your intent to have them available at the end of the second show?
Correct. That was not my intent. My intent was dinner before show. I'm sure the businesses don't want to be open till 10:30, 11 at night. So you're open till 9 that night? Yeah. So I don't want to force them to be open any longer than, it's going to be a long day for some of them. So.
I think you'll find as businesses are shutting down, the food truck
Right.
traffic will diminish too.
Well, I anticipate everybody, if they get out of the second show or the first show, to come down and maybe get some food then too. So
Was the second show your interest in how long they were going to be?
At the end of the second show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's, I would anticipate that the typical businesses are still gonna be open. I mean, the food vendors are, vendors are businesses, A&W,
Right.
Papa Bella's, and the pub,
Jets,
and Jets.
yeah.
Those would be the 4.
And so that
And Tom's Market,
would be probably like 8:30, quarter to 9.
about 9 o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah, it's gonna be later than that, and I don't want to inconvenience the homeowners as well as, like I said, the businesses who will be closed come 9 o'clock. That's my hope. If for some reason things are still booming downtown, I guess we handle that as it comes, as necessary. But if I have to, I'll start telling them, shut your window, you gotta go. I have no problem with that, so. But yes, anybody that can help, please let me know. Even, like I said, even if it's just for a little bit of time. I'd love to have as many of our board members and well-known volunteers walking around to answer people's questions. Where do they park? Where's the bathrooms? Where's this? Where's that? Answer questions, whatever.
I guess better memorize this.
Yeah. It shouldn't be too hard, and most people know downtown, so that's kind of my goal there.
Matt, have you made arrangements with Randy yet or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having somebody come and film.
You mentioned something about a couple of the restaurants had questions on the onset. Has there been anything that?
We made every effort to address it, and I don't have any additional pushback or.
Okay.
Hopefully they'll see an uptick.
Yeah. And we will be distributing downtown dollars. A&W, Papa Bella's, Impact North. They will be highlighted with those downtown dollars.
And they've all been highlighted on the event page as well. I know not everybody's got a Facebook, but they, we put out things. Don't forget about the hometown favorites. We had sponsors for our musicians. We made sure to thank them on there. Different things like that. So we have made an effort to keep them involved as well. And also, I forgot the one other thing I wanted to say. It's gone right out the window.
Could I make a suggestion that may be helpful for our hometown favorite businesses? Having balloons or something outside of their door with the sandwich sign. It draws more attention to them, and I mean, if you put something on there about, even if it's just the name of the business and open and come on in or something. We did that during Creek Fest for our businesses to try and attract people in and encourage them, open your door, keep it open, propped, make it a little more welcoming.
Right.
Whatever you can do, because we want to, part of this is to pull
draw
people
people in.
into our existing businesses as well.
Right.
We started this, I can't remember when we started the hotspot signs.
Yeah, we talked about
Which
that
is
today.
made out.
Was
I
it?
think it was, yeah, that was
We
really,
used them at
So we will be using those.
I think that's awesome.
Halloween one year too, when they did the pictures.
Oh, I didn't
Didn't
see
they,
that then.
didn't they use them then? At Halloween one year when they had the photo ops,
Mm-hmm.
remember?
That was witches.
No,
I think it was just witches' night out at Christmas
Okay.
in the village.
Fair enough. We talked about that today and having at all the open businesses having a event hotspot sign out front.
On our little map here, am I missing something, or where might one find a porta potty?
Yeah,
Porta potty's not listed on there.
Good catch.
Do you think that we should be handing out this map because
Well, we can't assume that people know what's going on downtown Ortonville. If they're from out of the area, they won't know a thing.
Right.
You could
So
blow this
including
into
where to
and
relieve
post
themselves.
it
We
throughout
Tony actually suggested if we have a couple of A-frame
Mhm.
signs and to have it just kind of bigger and on the sign.
Mhm.
That was one suggestion that we received, and Matt had suggested printing these up and having any volunteers have them to pass out or whatever else. So there's a couple of suggestions there.
I may be able to.
And where are they gonna
just
be
can't get
located?
here early. It might not. But if I can, I will
right
definitely come.
on Davis Street on Brenda's lawn?
All of them?
2 of them.
All a big row.
You're so funny.
You're gonna be the big attraction. So
Guaranteed traffic.
Two, and then there's also one in Crossman Park, right, that we're leaving there?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanna make sure that one wasn't going anywhere.
So that's it, just those two?
Mm-hmm.
3 total, right?
Where's the third one?
In Crossman Park.
So 2 at Brenda's and 1 at
Oh,
Westwood.
2 in Brenda's.
Yes.
You sure you want 2 at my place? Okay.
Probably easiest for drop off and whatnot.
No, I really don't mind.
Is the old
I'm
town
just
hall gonna be
thinking-
open to
Yes.
use their,
Oh,
to use
okay,
their restroom?
that's good.
For overflow, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I was gonna
gonna
say,
be
there's
overflow.
nothing yet on paper. There might be a lot of overflow
There's nothing yet, what?
on the map.
I talk about
For what?
The bathrooms.
They're being funny.
Yeah,
They're being
I'm-
boys.
unconscious.
we should put that on the volunteer list.
Overflow.
You know, all these things that are coming up now that,
Oh, bathroom. Well, that was kind of my point with event management, to tell, you know, there's bathrooms here, there, whatever, you gotta, you know, having us walk around and being able to tell people
Yep.
where the bathrooms are, or
Do you
where to
know,
park, or.
when are they going to be dropped off, do you know?
by 2.
On the same day? We can't get them a day before, right? Because when they just get dropped off, they smell like soap, but they smell.
Like soap.
Yeah.
It's better than the alternative, I guess.
Yeah, good point.
So
That's fine.
versus,
You want them to smell like Febreze or what?
daughter's T-ball game last night.
anything else on that, or can we keep moving?
Keep moving.
Let's keep moving.
Any other committees? Committee efforts to report on?
Where are we at with the fireworks fundraising? Do you have that?
That's Friends of Amos.
Are we not
No.
there yet? Sorry.
I don't have that.
Okay.
I'd be glad to follow up by email with everyone.
Just wondering how much more work I gotta do.
Alright, that operations report?
Actually, before we get to there,
Okay.
since there wasn't anything else with committees, just wanted to give Danielle an opportunity just to tell us she's back.
Finally.
Just a minute or two, you're
Um,
getting ready to,
I am working on the genealogy, well, I had worked on some of the genealogy, from Amos Orton and following it down to, you know, for the village. And had gone to different cemeteries and followed the gravestones and looked at that. My daughter helped me and we walked down Mill Street and we took the addresses of all the homes, and so I had those all categorized. And now what I'm gonna go back and is find those homes that have the stone foundations, and then I'm gonna get with Liz with the property numbers. And eventually what I'd like to do is get with Judy Miracle and try to find out, looking at old plat maps and things, where the property for the houses laid, not, you know, laid with the present houses. And then those homes or property that had significance for Ortonville, develop a storyline and maybe get a historical marker or a placard or a little story written up in front of those houses.
and I mentioned
It's gonna
to-
take a while, but that is my plan because I'm doing this as research, as an internship, because I'm working on my master's degree at Eastern Michigan University in historical preservation.
and just for the sake of some moving forward, I did mention to Danielle that once we get through Eats in the Streets here, Courtney being the design committee chair, we're gonna try and schedule a meeting so that we can begin to talk about how we're going to phase this in. And I believe Carol, you may have been tapped to participate and help us
Yes,
figure
I'm
out
a
what
special
we-
lecturer at Oakland University and a historian for Oakland County Parks and trained in archaeology. And I've been working with Davisburg, Pontiac, Royal Oak on downtown walking tours. So I'm excited to do it in my own community. I've only been living here a year and it's about time I got
Oh
organized.
my gosh.
I work with Ron Campbell a lot.
Oh, you do?
And Brett
Excellent,
Reskin.
excellent.
Did you do
So-
a presentation on Dixie Highway?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah,
saw
that was-
Oh,
It
that was me.
outstanding.
That
That
was
was
excellent.
me.
That was excellent.
That was
Seriously,
me.
now I pay attention to, what's it called, on Dixie, when you get the old cars buried in the Drayton
Oh,
Plains.
Drayton Plains. where
Yes, I never even knew it existed until I saw
Oh, yeah.
your
Drayton
Plains,
presentation.
yeah.
Thank you.
Very
So I'm
cool.
hoping to help you out.
Excellent.
About
Yeah,
Austin
that
Corners.
was-
Austin Corners is in my lecture too.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Mhm.
We'll get some leverage too.
So we're excited to
Miracles of Facebook.
thank, I was excited that Danielle came back in and said she's ready to get started again. And it seems like we have some additional assets we can put in motion and hopefully develop a good plan that we can bring back to the board and then we can run with it.
Good.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Can I interject with something?
You sure can.
For the historical thing, I was talking with my dad this past week, and I was telling him about what's going on with the DDA and everything. He doesn't live here, he was in Warren. But
Okay.
anyway, he was
I
saying,
work in Warren.
he was saying, why don't you get like certain little signs of historical places, put them in numbers, and then people can visit them in numbers as a self-guided tour.
Yes.
And then maybe on the weekends, they could have an actual historical person walk them through.
That's kind of like what it was gonna be. It was going to be, way down the road. It was going to be a walking tour where you could have the history and the archaeology kind of together. And eventually, for those that are more tech
savvy?
Yeah, have one of those little, whatever you
Oh.
call
Your
it.
QR code.
Yes,
Okay.
Q code, so if they just want to
Oh, great.
zap it and go,
Scan it and
they
go.
can. Or if you wanna just follow the pamphlet and walk around and see, do that.
Great suggestion. Great suggestion. I love it.
Our funeral director in town has told me that one of the things that's really quite popular is computer chips and headstones, where you can record a person, anything you want,
Yeah.
into the headstone. So when somebody comes up and reads that chip,
Yeah.
you found out everything about that person that was recorded by a family member about that particular person.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that wow? That's pretty.
Just audio or is it date? I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I'd love to see
Some are
interesting.
experimenting with video.
Video.
okay.
And the audio ones are like motion detected sometimes. So when you
Oh,
walk, it's a little eerie.
That's creepy.
It's a little
You
eerie.
walk by and
When
just
you
start
walk
talking.
by, then it triggers.
Hello.
For real, I'd be the one recording some pretty creepy messages. Don't step on me!
But you know, that's the kind of tie-in you're seeing with historical, archaeological types of things. That, whatever can be dug up can be implanted and retrospective, after the fact, obviously.
Technology.
Anybody seen those 9 crimes wine bottles?
9 crimes? No.
There's an app you can get on your phone and you hold it up against the bottle and this figure that's on the bottle tells the story of how they ended up in jail. Maybe it's 19 crimes.
Google
I don't
it.
have the app,
company
but-
or
Sure.
soda company?
Wine.
Wine.
Okay.
Probably gets
Serve
more
that
interesting
for
more wine taps.
community.
Well, there's like 3 or 4 different,
Well, you'd have to.
Pictures.
Yeah, right.
and it only works once you uncork it.
Oh, mercy. Okay,
Now you just know some other.
All right.
moving along.
Right. Once it's half empty, then it starts burning.
Yeah. Operations?
The report is included in your packet. It's the last stapled section. Point out a few things. I'll entertain any questions you have on the material, but I'll point out a few things. First, Main Street Oakland County is hosting a business training workshop. It's a 2-day workshop. Both days are not required because they are very different. The flyer is included in your packet. We have 7 and myself participating at the moment.
Yeah, I
From the
signed
area?
up for one.
Yep.
This is the second page?
Yes. Yep. So the retail in the age of Amazon, the first is a customer service workshop. They're bringing in Zing Train, Zingerman's.
Oh, awesome.
And then July 16th is a retail, merchandising and retail workshop. And we have a cross-section. We have business owners. We have the Brandon Township Clerk is joining. The Superintendent of Schools will be there. The Historical Society will be represented. So we have a cross-section of people who the BDA sponsored to attend.
And you were going to both days?
Fortunately, on the 9th, I will be at Grand Valley State University for my daughter's orientation, so I will not be at that.
Okay.
But there's room for more, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one thing. I was hoping to identify somebody who could kind of serve as a host in my absence. If anyone is interested in these, or at least the one on the 9th, that would be great. And if not, I'll continue to try and recruit additional folks in town, business owners, community groups to go until it fills up.
This will be located where? At the Oakland County Conference Center?
Yep.
2100 Pontiac Lake Road.
Yep, attached to the executive office building. Downtown dollars, they are valuable and they work.
See that.
There's a report in your packet that, it's kind of a lengthy report. It's a spreadsheet. It's the 3rd page in the packet. And, I record every downtown dollar that's redeemed on the spreadsheet, just so we can keep track. The objective is and we've asked the businesses to record the total sale each time a downtown dollar is used, because we want to be able to see that we spent $380 and it generated almost $1,600 in commerce in our DDA businesses.
That's awesome.
That's an excellent small victory.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is. And while it's nice to be recognized with a Main Street Oakland County award for this program, we do it because it works, because it creates value, and it's something that I think we continue to do. Is it possible that at some point the subsidized program sunsets? Yeah, but not at the moment. We're getting a good bang for our buck out of it.
So Matt, over what time period are these entries logged in, roughly, from when to when? Our fiscal year, or is it just since the program started, or what?
These are in 2018, so January 1.
Okay.
Well,
Annual, not fiscal.
Yeah.
very nice job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We already talked about the project brief, which is the next page in the packet. And then after that, there's 2 descriptions of 2 brand new grants available through Main Street Oakland County. One is a placemaking and facade grant program, and the other is a business startup program. there's already things that we can immediately apply for these grants. And based on the decision you made on the budget, I think it creates even more synergy with these two grants. And so that's something that the committees can begin to think about, but I certainly will be pushing for us to apply for specific things before the deadline.
Just coming quickly.
Yeah, and I did not check. I need to check on the startup grant. It says it's a rolling deadline. Just want to make sure we don't miss out.
This is great. Everyone has their calendar. Well, actually, any additional business to come before the board?
There's a report on the township, but I don't think there's really anything major coming from the township that we need to be spying on.
I'm actively pursuing, and I hope to have by tonight's meeting, the Paramount sign my big arrow project. The entrances to the village. The one that's specifically across from McPhee's, and then the one specifically south of the cemetery, and then the one that's, I asked for some new ideas for Oakwood Road as you're coming into town. Directing people. And I'm talking about huge arrows on top of the existing huge signs. Rather than a small little green sign that says business district.
Right.
The
Well, they're going 60 miles an hour past it.
the township has sold the skate park equipment, so just as an update for us, there's going to be some space available downtown. They did approve the permit for the fireworks. And I think that's really all that happened at the last meeting that would even remotely pertain to us. So.
All right, so we have our calendar in front of us. I don't know if anyone has any questions about anything on the calendar.
I will point out that the item number 2 on the calendar, the council meeting next Monday night. I will be there if anyone else from the board wants to be there. We will be presenting our budget for approval.
Okay.
I can be there.
As a heads up, I will not be at the township board meeting for July. They have, long story short, someone else always does the July meeting, so I don't have to do their minutes.
Okay.
So I won't be there for that.
Okay.
Nice little break for me.
Unless there's any other business?
Just a comment, a question. Has anybody, I know I've suggested this, but has anybody reached out to Brenda Heffernan at Maybellina's regarding the use of food trucks in relation to her major events? Or the,
Well, that's a great idea though, because she has the tour buses.
I mean, she has tour buses coming in from Canada, from all over the area
Could be a great way for us to.
regarding quilting operations, and to me, it'd be a great opportunity, because people walk off the bus and they look around, where can I get something to eat?
Could I make
And-
another suggestion, kind of in the same lines with that? Find out who the tour bus companies are that she's contracting with or working with, and let's provide them with a list of the restaurants and hours and menus even in advance, so that instead of having food trucks, maybe
Yeah,
even
I think that's
businesses, because
better.
that way we're selling
Right.
our businesses.
I-
Well, the concern, and that's a good point, because some of these tour buses arrive at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Sure,
number one. You know, so where can I get a coffee or breakfast?
right.
So-
We do have, I mean, maybe not right downtown, but at least we could,
So I mean, to coordinate their anticipated arrivals, and I'm not sure how many of these she does a year.
I don't either, but it'd be worth looking at.
And really that, I see that as the route to your suggestion is there some opportunity for us to partner with Mabelina's on these efforts?
Absolutely.
And if
I would hope so.
And once that's answered, then the question is, okay, are we promoting our existing, only our existing businesses? Is it at 7 a.m. and we have to find an alternative?
Right.
And
Yeah, I think, I mean, just,
Or can some of our existing business open early?
and they may, and that's
Papa
where I
Bella's
think we
may
just
not
need
open
to,
until noon typically, but maybe if they knew that there was an opportunity, they could open up earlier.
if we could be a liaison between that tour, or those tour companies and our local businesses, who knows?
Yeah,
Pub
give-
brunch.
Noted in the minutes.
Giving them a heads up that, you know,
Yeah,
that, hey, this is what's gonna happen.
yeah, if I'm a business owner, right, I might wanna have some little brunchy finger foods and come on down for, you know, to the local, and I'll feed you some coffee and snacks.
I only get a few people and they're usually rushed, so I don't know how much time they will have.
Maybe if they knew in advance.
Right, and they
Yeah.
make that part of that tour.
Yeah.
Or what about, this is just an idea, just allowing, you know, if they're not a food place, if not a pub, not someplace else like that, helping them out, stacking up on donuts from Beaky's, and just saying, there's 3 shops around here, they're all being supported and helped out, and they can, you know, stop by and have a donut. So it doesn't put the burden on them to do everything. I don't know how that would work. Just an idea.
and we have a merchant grant that they could get up to $250 towards that effort.
Donuts,
Yep, yeah.
Still a lot of donuts. So you just said.
Critters.
Who would wanna reach out to Brenda? You, me, who, anybody?
I don't
VR
have a problem with it, but
motion.
does anybody know her
I do,
personally?
absolutely.
I would suggest a personal.
Yeah.
You can at
Have you
least
talked with her? You
start
met
the
her? You know-
conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Getting somebody.
Maybe start the conversation, would that be our promotions committee?
Or it could be economic restructuring.
Reach out and refer, say,
Or reach out and say, and say, hey, our
Someone from the
committee wants
DDA is gonna
to
contact you.
talk about this.
Yeah.
Is this something you're
You'd be up to
interested in,
this.
and should we move forward with it?
So
I'll like it.
after, let's say next week or so,
Okay.
I'll network with Matt and we'll figure it out.
I should also mention really quick before we adjourn.
And before we do that, I'd like to entertain any comments from our guests.
Yes. I did talk with Brenda and also with Sean from the pub, and I hope to talk to the others as well, but to let me know how this event works for them, what they liked, what they didn't like, and I want to keep that line of communication open, to make sure that they know
We're
to come
listening.
talk to us and let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, how you did, how did it affect your business for the day. Which you got your own little event going on, so it's going to be a big day for you anyways, but
Feedback is huge.
maybe
Yeah.
it worked
Never
for you,
get it.
maybe it didn't work for you, or maybe there was one little part that didn't work for you. So I want to make sure that they all know to reach out. So
On those A-frame or sandwich signs that are posted with these maps, I would encourage each of the businesses to put some ad up there. Maybe an arrow, you know, love of local this way and village pub folks that may not know.
Or just even just your emblem, your
Something, yeah.
Logo?
Put it where?
Thank you.
On the
A-frame.
A-frames, so when they blow this map up, even though you're there, but let's say this is over at the intersection at South and Mill, have your emblem and an arrow or something so that folks know, you know, let's promote our businesses as much as we can. All right. So any comments or feedback from
You too.
Well,
Point
Sarah took some,
No, just to kind of start.
was taking pictures of different houses for me. And she was an IT at OSTC, Oakland Schools Technical Center. And I'll let her talk, because she had like a partnership idea that might work with this historic, if you don't mind letting
So there's two clusters you could actually use. You could use the visual imaging cluster, which is more like they could help with kind of placing pictures, kind of doing that kind of thing. And then there's the I-Team cluster, which is a business IT mix. Within that, I was actually on the business side with marketing and sales, and I was a vice president this last school year. They run it like a business. So basically what they can help with is marketing, and I heard you have a website person. Yeah, good job. If you need help, they could help you out with that, but I'm pretty sure you're fine. So, I don't know. But if you need them, they're there. And what I was thinking, I actually have a paper saying what I was going to say, so hold on a second. Gotta find it. Okay. Okay, so they can help you with marketing if you need, like, say for the historical tour when that actually gets up and running and it's more done, you could have visual imaging assist in creating a brochure and kind of placing the pictures, kind of having the layout done. And then you could have I-Team helping with the marketing campaigns and help market it. Or if you have other events that need assistance in marketing, you could use them as well. I do have emails for both of the instructors in I-Team visual imaging. I also have the Dean of Students if you need it, and the campus operations supervisor's email as well. If you want those, I can give those afterwards. So I have those if you need them, but that was just an idea.
And you graduated this year?
Yes.
Trats.
But I have friends in there, so I mean I have a way in still, and my instructors still like me and they invited me back, so I can also do that too. So
And
yeah,
just, you know, on July 11th, I'm going to freshman orientation for Sierra at Granville.
Awesome. Awesome.
You'll be there together.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is cool. Great. Yeah, we'd love to have more student involvement. That's something we've really worked with the schools to get, and we've been making progress with that. They've been very helpful, but always more of our young folks.
And there's actually kids, not just from Brandon, but there's kids from Clarkston schools, both Waterford schools. There's some from Rochester, but there aren't any from Rochester in the I-Team program. There might be next year, but they weren't in the last 2 years I was in it. But you could have a lot of kids from Oakland County. It would be great hands-on experience.
Sure.
Visual imaging, from what I know, actually helps out with Peace Fest every year.
Okay.
So if you need them, I'm pretty sure they will be totally open to a partnership. And we always like getting more partnerships with people. So
Make sure we get that contact info.
All right.
Don't leave without giving it to us. We definitely want that. Thank you.
Right. Yep.
Awesome.
Judy? I don't have anything to add. I mean, should I talk about my project that I'm heading or?
Yeah,
I'd love to.
we've been talking about, haven't had our full meeting or anything yet, but
There's this thing going through the United States called the Kindness Rocks Project. I'm sure some of you have heard about it. You can Google it, and now the library is also sponsoring, giving information about it. And what I've been doing over the last year is I've been placing Kindness Rocks around Ortonville.
I have one in
And-
my car. I have to hide it again. That's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yep, and I've been putting them out, and I was thinking, There's been, I've looked at other websites, and like in Oxford, there's it's called a hatchling place, and there's another one in Clarkston called the Healing Garden. And I was thinking we could do something like that in Crosby Park, where we make a little rock garden where people can place rocks, take rocks, hide rocks, keep rocks, whatever they need to do, and just a little area like that.
Yeah.
Because I think the kids would enjoy that, because sometimes they can't really find them, but there's a spot right here where they would be able to find them.
I love it.
We talked too, didn't we, about maybe having like a bench or something?
Yeah.
For people to sit.
I was thinking like a small bench, and then just like the rock garden.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
So as soon as Eats in the Streets gets done, I guess that's not proper English, but is over, then we're gonna put a meeting together, and we've got one of the business owners who's really excited about the project as well. So.
And I think I know someone who could help with some imaging. And someone who could get it on the website.
There you go. That's Carol.
Carol?
Oh, well, I'm just excited to be involved. And I am on the Board of Commission has appointed a small group of 5 to work on the Oakland County Bicentennial in 2020. So we need to think ahead and think what Ortonville can do as far as the
I
bicentennial.
love that.
Yes.
So there's a lot of possibilities. I have a whole list of projects, but it's not too early to begin to think about
True.
what we can do.
Carol, remind me, are you village resident or township resident?
I'm a half a mile out of the village on
Okay.
Hummer Lake.
Okay,
I'm real close, but
Yeah.
it's
that's okay.
just
That's
over
okay.
the border.
It's all right. Doesn't matter. We take all help.
That's right.
Thank you. We're glad to have you. Sarah, it is, right?
Yes, yes. I'm happy that I get to be included here. I'm happy to help out. I teach, so during the school year I'm a little bit busy, but during the summer I teach from home just early in the morning, and so I'm happy to help out wherever I need to be. So
That's awesome. Thank
Yes.
you. We appreciate it very much.
yes, and I'm a village resident here.
What are you
so.
teaching?
I teach for a homeschool group,
Okay.
so science and social studies.
Nice. Well, volunteers are what make us who we are. We're all volunteers, so volunteers are crucial.
I should mention that Judy, Carol, and Sarah all came off of Facebook from the volunteer.
Wow.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thing that
Saw the
put out.
Facebook page.
Yeah.
It works. It works. Thank you very much. All right. If there isn't any additional business, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
There is, if you're interested in the May